You and Your Young Child, a program of information and services available for you and your child from prenatal to age 5. You and Your Young Child has been brought to you in part by Sternberg Museum of Natural History, also by The Dentist.
Fort Hays State University's Sternberg Museum of Natural History invites you to experience Bringing Fossils to Life, their newest permanent exhibit under the dome. Meet a giant mosasaur and its living little relative, the Australian water monitor. Learn about evolutionary stasis with giant tortoises and discover the many ways fish made their way onto land with mud skippers. Experience all this and more at Fort Hays State University's Sternberg Museum of Natural History in Hays, Kansas.
Discovery under the dome.
Come discover a one-of-a-kind dental center for the whole family at The Dentist. Dr. Melinda Miner and Dr. Michael Holmberg and their warm and friendly staff love working with children of all ages to help keep everyone's smile happy and healthy. They recommend children start seeing the dentist by age 1. The Dentist is now accepting new patients, children, and their families. Visit them at 1010 Downing Avenue in Hays or online at thedentistinhays.com.
Hello, and welcome to You and Your Young Child, the program devoted to early childhood. My name is Dana Stanton, and I'm the coordinator of early childhood grants for USD 489. And with me today is Linda Beech. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning.
Now, first of all, tell our viewers what organization you work for and what do you do there.
Okay, fine. I'm one of the county extension agents at the Ellis County Extension Office in downtown Hays. And we are the local branch of K-State Research and Extension here in Ellis County. And our goal is to extend, that's how we get the name, extend information from the experts at Kansas State University, our state and national partners, to the people in Ellis County in whatever ways we can find to do that. And today, that's what brings me here with you.
And today we're going to talk about September being the National Disaster Preparedness Month.
Right.
So tell us about that.
Okay. In September, K-State Research and Extension promotes a campaign that we call Prepare Kansas. And if you think about being prepared for disasters in Kansas, we often think about tornadoes. That's the first thing we think about, typically in the spring. But we've just had flooding in Kansas in July, and that major windstorm that hit Hays. We were without power for a number of hours. And ice storms in the winter can bring power outages and such. So we need to be thinking about different kinds of disasters throughout the year. Now, emergency management folks tell us that we need to be prepared to be self-sufficient for 2 or 3 days. Certainly if our home is one of the only things that's affected, they may get to us more quickly. But if we have a major tornado that destroys the whole community, we better be prepared to take care of ourselves and our families.
Now, you've brought some things here today, so I'm assuming this is some of the stuff we maybe should have at our house.
Well, exactly. What I've got here is the food and water supplies that you might want to have on hand. They say that we should have a gallon of water per person per day. So think how many people are in your household, and for 3 days, multiply that times the number of gallons. I brought the gallon-sized jug today, but they do make those large
big,
5-gallon, really heavy plastic bottles of water. I can't lift those very easily. So this size for my small family works better. Might be worthwhile to have a couple of small bottles of water that you can throw in a backpack or take with you if you need to evacuate your home. Then I've got some food that is non-perishable, that is palatable to eat without heat, because you may not have any way to cook it. So think through what you could eat cold. Canned items are pasteurized in the process, so they're safe to eat. But certainly if you don't have one that has a pop top on it, you better make sure your disaster supplies
has a
include
can opener
as well. Exactly. I've also shown you that we've got some dried fruit and nut products also. Now, as you're thinking about emergency food, don't stock up on green beans, because while they're very healthy and tasty food, they're only about 25 calories a serving. So they're not going to sustain you with much energy for very long. So think about things that have protein, that have some fiber, that have some carbohydrates for energy. Now, food and water is only a few of the kinds of items that we need. And I have my kit here that we have all this sitting on. And so think about emergency supplies, like a flashlight with extra batteries,
yeah.
and maybe a battery-operated radio so you can keep up with what's going on. Think about first aid supplies, hygiene and sanitation supplies, prescriptions. If anybody in your family takes medication, you need to have 3 days worth of all of those kinds of supplies on hand. And don't forget that a change of clothing and a pair of shoes might be a great thing to have for each member of the family as well.
Now, these are very general things. Are there specific things that maybe families with young children should be thinking about?
Yeah, you know, especially if you have an infant, you need to think through all the things that it takes to care for a baby. So you will need formula and bottles and diapers and wipes and all of those kinds of things. A child that's a little older, you need the baby food on hand as well. And ways that we can keep those little ones comfortable, dry, protected from falling debris.
Calm, keep them calm.
Exactly. For kids who are a little older, you know, we may need to think about not only little snack items that they can eat, but maybe they need their favorite blanket.
Yeah, their lovey or their special blanket.
Exactly. So, or even something to keep them occupied. If you have to evacuate, maybe you need some coloring books, or you need a puzzle, or whatever kids like to play with, just to keep them distracted and keep them busy if you have to evacuate your home.
Now, are there any other food safety considerations? These things are, you know, when you have a can opener, you can get in. But a lot of times you lose electricity, and I've always been told you can still get things out of your refrigerator if you don't open the door and let out the cold air.
You know, exactly. And one of the things that I wanted to mention today is how important it is to have a refrigerator or thermometer in each compartment of any cooling appliance you have in your house. So one in the refrigerator section, one in the freezer section. If you have more than one refrigerator, if you have an extra freezer, they all need a thermometer as well. This will help you monitor the temperature of that food. And certainly you're right, we don't want to open the door every 10 minutes to check the thermometer, but you know, a fully loaded refrigerator can warm up into the temperature danger zone within, you know, 4 to 6 hours, depending on how full it is. So it's really worthwhile knowing what the temperature of your food is so you can take corrective action if you need to. Same thing with your freezer. You know, if it's fully loaded, you may have up to 48 hours that temperature will be safe. If it's only partially full, you know, you'll have, again, that few hours. So this I always think of as an inexpensive insurance policy for your stored food. Okay, in case of a power outage, we need to be able to know what the temperature got to so that we can evaluate what to do during the emergency, and we can evaluate what food is safe and what we need to discard after an emergency happens.
All right. Now, if families want more information, you know, we've kind of touched on some of the basics, but they want more information. How do they contact? Do they contact you? Or?
Well, exactly. You can start with the Ellis County Extension Office, and I'll mention our phone number in particular because as a part of our Prepare Kansas campaign, K-State Research and Extension wants to get refrigerator thermometers out into people's hands. So I've got 10 of these to give away. And all you have to do is be one of the first 10 people to contact me at the Ellis County Extension Office. Our phone number there is 785-628-9430.
First 10 callers.
That's right. And when they're gone, I'm sorry, they're gone. But they're inexpensive to buy in a department store or a discount store, so everybody needs to have one of these. The other thing that I'd encourage folks to do is to join in and follow that Prepare Kansas social media campaign that's coming from K-State Research and Extension in the month of September. You can follow that on Facebook or on Twitter. And on Facebook, you just look for K-State Research and Extension. And if you'd like to follow our local office, we'll relay that information and add other information of local interest. And on Facebook, we're at K-State Research and Extension Ellis County. So there's lots to think about in September about being prepared. Thankfully for us, it's kind of a downtime in the disaster season, so it's a great time to get prepared. And one last thought, as we are talking about this food, it doesn't last forever. So it's worth revisiting your emergency supplies at least once a year to check the expiration dates on the food, replace any of these nut items that might be getting
bad.
rancid in storage, and make sure that the shoes you've got for your kids still fit, some of those kinds of things. So it's something that we can put together now, but we need to come back and revisit it. Yes.
So just stay prepared.
Exactly,
Be prepared.
yes.
All right, wonderful information. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
You've been watching You and Your Young Child, the program devoted to early childhood. Parents, remember, you are your child's first and best teacher. Thank you.
You and Your Young Child, a program of information and services available for you and your child from prenatal to age 5. You and Your Young Child has been brought to you in part by Sternberg Museum of Natural History, also by The Dentist.